Welcome to another episode of the Recovering Cinderella podcast. Real stories of hope, inspiration, and advice from women who have made it through divorce for women going through it. My name is Keri Lauderdale Olson. I am the host, the original Recovering Cinderella, and a master certified life coach specializing in helping women move forward after divorce and create lives they love. Today, we are talking with Caryn, who's going to share her divorce story and how she has evolved and created a new life that she loves. Thanks for joining us today, Caryn.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Well, we appreciate you being here and sharing your story with all of us listening because, it's really important as women are going through divorce, and because you've been through it, just to see that they're not alone and that maybe somebody out there can relate to what your story is and your advice to how you got through it. So why don't you start by telling me a little bit about, your marriage, how long you were married, and a little bit more about your story.
Okay. Yeah, so I was married for 16 years, have 3 gorgeous kids because of it. Throughout my marriage, so I always kind of start with this story. Actually, it goes way back to when we were dating. About 3 months into dating. So when we started dating, we had this really passionate relationship. And then about 3 months in, we were at we were at a bar with some friends, and Andre Agassi came on the TV, and I said, "Oh my God, he's so cute." And my ex-husband, at the time, again, we were dating, kind of looked over at me and just got really jealous, kind of threw a temper tantrum, in the space, we were there with my friends and everything. And I'll be honest, I never experienced anything like it. I didn't know what to do. And so we left the bar and we went back to his house and we started talking, and I kind of had made the decision that I wanted to break up with him at that point. Cause I was like, this is just weird. I didn't know what to do with it. I do admit I kind of have a tendency to be this kind of all or none person sometimes. And so anyway, we had this conversation and he started crying really hard. He started crying so hard, his nose bled. And so I believe, part of this is I kind of made I made the belief that night that I had to make sure he was okay. I think I kind of thought maybe he's going to kill himself if I leave. Again, I think it's stuff that I decided within myself, but I think I decided, oh my gosh, I need to make sure this guy is okay. And so I think that is kind of what led a lot of the rest of our dating relationship, and then even our marriage. I had a lot of questions going into the marriage. One other time, after he proposed to me, it didn't feel right. I even wanted to break up with him at one point, and I didn't, again, kind of feeling oh, I need to make sure he's okay. And then, we got married. And so we were married for about a year, and I then decided I had to do an internship. We weren't getting along very well about a year in. We had moved to Las Vegas and moved back home, and he didn't have a job. I mean, there was kind of a lot of issues that I didn't feel right about, and I had to do an internship. I'm a dietitian, and so I intentionally picked going away to do the internship, because kind of in my head I thought, okay, this will probably be my break from him, right? And so I moved to Green Bay, Wisconsin for a year. And
during that time, at this point.
Yes, we're married. Okay. Yeah, we were married for about a year at this point. Maybe 2 years. Actually, maybe almost close to 3 years at this point. And so while I was in Green Bay, we actually got along pretty well. We would meet on the weekends. We just have kind of fun, these little rendezvous and everything. And then when I moved back from Green Bay, I think I remember specifically thinking well, I didn't divorce him, so I guess I'm gonna try this, right? And so then we had kids. We had 3 kids, and so I think I went through a period of time where, again, throughout my marriage, there were times when I felt pretty good about it. When the kids were pretty young, I got really unhappy again. I was staying at home running a daycare out of my home, and his hours at work were not good. I just had basically about 8 to 10 kids all day long, and then these 3 little kids at night, and just felt really unhappy. And so we went through a really rough patch then. And at that point, I kind of decided, okay, I do want to leave him, but I can't do it right now on my own. Like I can't, like I don't have the money, and all these things. And then, so then I kind of dove back in, took probably another 7 years. I, built a successful career as a dietitian. And then kind of at that point decided, okay, it's time. And so, again, like, I don't know that was always like my dominant thoughts, but kind of always in the back of my head, those are the things that I was thinking. When we finally decided to get a divorce, he had we're starting to get along pretty well. Like he was getting kind of more comfortable with our relationship, I would say, in terms of like the jealousy and kind of all that stuff. But, he went away for about 3 weeks, and, I loved it. I fell in love with it. Like I just took care of my kids. I kind of had my whole, by this point I was like really into running, and I kind of had like my whole routine figured out. Like I really didn't need him there and everything. And it felt really good. And I was starting to like meet people and just really, I don't know, I think I was just really kind of ready to, figure some things out. But at the same time, I was also feeling very anxious and like kind of lacking a lot of like self-confidence in that area too. And so he came home from, being gone basically for like 3 weeks. And I was like, hey, I would like to go out and meet my sister for a drink, thinking like, oh, I've had these kids for these 3 weeks. And he said, you should be wanting to spend time with me. And that was actually my deciding factor. Like that was, my brain clicked. I was like, you know what, I'm done. I got really honest, which kind of sucked that I hadn't been for, so long. Because looking back, I think if I had been honest a lot sooner, I think maybe I could have worked through some of my own personal issues. And, honestly, maybe I would not be divorced today. But I mean, I don't regret it. I love my life, and I believe, life happens for you, not to you. So I think every, really tough experience that you go through is an opportunity to grow. And that's definitely what I've done with it.
I appreciate you being transparent and sharing that, because I think even going back when you said, you had this feeling things weren't right, and you kind of talked yourself into it and into the marriage. And with my first husband, I did the same thing. Like, and even with my second one, there were red flags, and that gut instinct, telling you, it's telling you, something's off here. And so often we don't listen to that gut instinct. We try to convince ourselves that, oh, but these things are all good. And on, if you look at them, you've decided that, your head's going to do all the thinking, and, or it's your heart and your head's doing the red flags.
Right.
But either way, I think that most people that I talk to that have been divorced, there were some of those red flags. We feel them in our gut. And if we would have listened to them, then we probably wouldn't have followed through. I know I wouldn't have. Right. And yet experience and it brings us to where we are in life now. And we wouldn't be the people we are today.
Or have my kids, and I wouldn't change that for the world. So
you had this turning point. You were like, okay, I'm done. And you lay it on the table and you're like, okay. Did you just flat out say, I want a divorce at that point?
I pretty much said like, I am done. I want a divorce. And he was in complete denial and was like, we need to get counseling and all this stuff. And I was even to the point where I kind of had a crush on another guy, again, I think it was just really, I wanted attention from someone else. Part of, if I go back and look at our marriage again, because he was so jealous, again, another belief that I kind of created was like, you can never like think another guy's cute, you can never, kind of all those things. And I think it kind of backfired on me. And I was just like, I have like this huge crush on somebody else, And so, but I'm glad. It sucks, but I'm kind of glad because I think it was really my driving force to move forward. I think otherwise I probably would have just stayed stuck and just been really unhappy. So anyway, so he, wanted to, a lot of yucky things happened. He stole my phone, read my text messages, just kind of like some really messy, yucky stuff. But I think through the whole thing, I was just really honest, like, I'm not not coming back. I mean, it's hard to explain, but I'm sure people that have been through it know, like there just comes like that turning point, and it had hit, like there was no way mentally I could go back and even consider it at this point. So
I think so go ahead.
I was going to say, now like years later, after I've done like my inner self work, I could have, I think, but just where my mind was at that moment, like where I was, there's no way I could have. So.
When people ask me, how do I know that I should get a divorce? Because I think you go through this period of time where you're questioning whether you should or you shouldn't, and you're weighing it in your head. And typically a divorce doesn't happen overnight. At least one person in the marriage has thought about it for quite a while. And they are usually farther along than the other person, right? So very rarely are both people on the exact same page at the exact same time, like, okay, this isn't working and we're done. But I think that, when you've done that work, you hit that point that you've done, and there's just no going back, and either something happens or it's something small because everything else is built up, but it's just that tipping point.
Yeah, it's definitely like all those stacked experiences, and just tipped you right over.
Okay, so here you are, you've got 3 kids, you guys, was it a easy divorce? Was there drama? How did that work out for you?
Yeah, so again, like right at first, I think he was, there was some drama, definitely. And then kind of once we both accepted it, it was just a matter of working everything out. Neither one of us wanted to spend a lot of money, or anything like that. So I wanted to hire the lawyer. I kind of was I'm the breadwinner. I actually pay him child support. And so we lived in the house for actually a year. And I would like move out for the weekends, or he would, we would just trade off every other night staying with the kids because we just wanted to keep the kids in the same place. And during that time, I was so anxious. Like I just had so much anxiety, like in my head, I just remember thinking, oh my God, like, I ended up buying a new house. It was like the perfect house for me and my family. I'm still in it today. I totally manifested it. Like in my head, I'm like, I want to live in this exact neighborhood, and I want it to have 4 bedrooms because our old one only had 3. And I want to have a flat backyard because I want to get my kids a trampoline. And honestly, like I only looked at one house. Like I completely manifested it, which was amazing. But I remember like before that moment, like thinking, oh my God, like how am I going to do this? Like it, financially, especially, I think that that's a huge, like probably one of my biggest stressors. And so, just really kind of working through all that stuff was really, really stressful for that. But it took us like a year. So, but it all worked. So.
You mentioned something when you were talking about your story that you had been doing daycare and then you built your career. So did you go back to school and get a degree while you were still married?
So I had before we even had kids, I became a dietitian. And then I was working as a dietitian when I was pregnant with my oldest. And then once I had her, that was kind of, for the first year, I was actually able to take her to work with me at the job I had. And then they said, you know what, because she's getting mobile and all this stuff, you're not gonna be able to bring her anymore. And I was already just really hooked on being with her. So, and I had kind of learned, like I had met a couple of like home daycare providers and kind of learned the ins and outs of that. And so I thought, I'm going to try it. Super successful. I think I did it for about 5 years while I had my other kids as well. Might've been 6 years, but anyway, I mean, I was very successful at it. I didn't enjoy it. I think it was kind of hard again mentally for me to do that because I wasn't really like living in my passion. But what it really did was create kind of a hunger for me for my passion, right? And actually at the time it was childhood obesity was my passion because that was kind of when all that was unfolding and everything. So when I went back to work, so I still worked as a dietitian about once a month. Like I would just like on a Saturday or something, like go in and kind of keep my skills fresh the entire time I did the daycare. And then when I decided to go back to work, and this was still while I was married, I think, I just went back to the hospital, that I had worked at before. And I really expressed my passion for childhood obesity and wanting to work in that area. And so fortunately, they were able to kind of hook me with this other department called Healthier Communities. So I was able to like create programs within the community to help families, deal with childhood obesity, which was honestly like one of my most favorite jobs I've ever had. And then from there, the job came open. And so I was able to work for been amazing too. I've been there for 9 years. So it's been an amazing career.
Because, it's great that you've had that career. I know a lot of women contact me and they're like, I don't have any skills. I've worked at home. I've been a stay-at-home mom or they're not sure how to support their families. And so for me, I know I was unhappy in my marriage and I went back to school and got my degree and did that a few years before our divorce because I knew I needed that. And it was really important for me to have that. And it was a personal thing for me. But I mean, there's not a set path for anybody, but I'm just curious. I know some people out there are probably wondering, you said you were the breadwinner. How did that all happen? So.
Yeah, I think a lot of that had to do with just kind of his mentality and, he's a brilliant man. But I think that's, again, part of me, like, dating the fixer-uppers, like seeing the potential in somebody rather than really like seeing the person for who they are. And I would say too, like, since then, I think I'm also a life coach. And I have just, obtained that certification kind of on my own. I think there's a lot of opportunities out there, especially like through certifications programs, and especially now with like all this online stuff going on. And even like in the social media space, like if you can start a career online, honestly, and be amazing at it. And it can happen really quickly.
So let's go back to when you first had your divorce and there's all these changes and you said, you kind of are, which is very common, you already had an attraction to somebody else and, kind of probably jumped into something else to feel that validation because a lot of times we look externally for the validation, especially right when you're getting out of a marriage. So how are you feeling? I mean, talk about that first year and the emotions that you went through and some of those feelings.
A roller coaster. Oh my gosh. I felt like I was crazy, to be honest with you. I had a couple of guys that I had kind of dated, and just felt really, really passionate about it. I also felt like I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I'd been married for 16 years and totally out of the dating game. I think I was very focused on finding someone else because I kind of chalked it up to, in my marriage, I never really fell in love with my husband. And so kind of in my head, I'm like, I just really want to meet my soulmate. Like, that's what I want to do. I'm just like ready to do that. And then, you kind of get out there and, try, and doesn't work that well. But actually I was kind of lucky because I met this guy at the airport. And so we dated the majority of the time that I was going through my divorce. So I was able to actually like stay at his house, like on the weekends that I didn't have my kids. But the weird part of that was that he never really met my kids. He didn't know anything about me. You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't know anything about my story. He just kind of,
two different lives. You had this
exactly.
life.
Yep. And that's been kind of a theme, I would say, for me. That's kind of, even to this day, I've had like a couple of pretty serious boyfriends, but I think I kind of create like that two separate lives scenario, mostly because, I like the fact that I don't really want anybody else like making decisions about my kids. I don't think they would be comfortable with somebody else living here unless we were married, that kind of thing. But trying to like navigate that has been something that, I've definitely been working on since.
So how many years has it been since your divorce?
So I've been divorced 6 years. Since then, so right into another thing I really dove into, and I think it kind of had to do more with the boyfriend, after, I just felt like I failed at relationships. Like, I was just like, I didn't know how to be married. I didn't know how to fall in love. I don't know how to date people. I just really felt like a failure when it came to like a good relationship. And so I started researching, and I've read every book you can think of about relationships. I even kind of got caught up on like these online courses and stuff like that. And one of my favorite, her name is Rory Ray. And she talks a lot about, again, how to have a good relationship with someone. And what I noticed, like I noticed this pattern with almost every book I read, or, every program that I did. I got almost like obsessed with it. Like it was kind of like my favorite pastime. It was comforting to me. I felt a lot of anxiety, and I think it kind of helped relieve my anxiety to really learn something new. And so anyway, but what I noticed is there was this common theme, and it was, for women especially, you have to really love yourself. Like you have to like have your own life. You have to like, really figure out what makes you happy completely on your own, independent of someone else. And so, I definitely started noticing that and started to try to like practice those, those rules or whatever, however you want to call it. And so, and that kind of led me to creating this passion to, it's what made me want to be a life coach. So, in addition to my full-time job, I started a business on the side called High Octane Wellness. And at first I started working with endurance athletes on their nutrition because I'm an endurance athlete. And I just really noticed like they had no clue what they should be eating in terms of racing and all that stuff. Again, my background, I'm a dietitian. And then, but even when I picked the name High Octane Wellness, I remember thinking like, this would be a really good name of a company for a life coach. And I remember thinking like, that's really what I want to get into. I think really helping people like learn to love themselves, and like personal growth and development is really like where my passion is. So a few years down the road, I actually became I think I opened High Octane Wellness about a year later. I started getting contacted by women who they contacted me because they were really frustrated about losing weight. And they kind of did it like, okay, I think I want to do a triathlon, help me with my nutrition, help me figure out how to lose weight. I'm just really frustrated. I don't know what to eat. I hear things everywhere, and everything. And so I started working with them, and they actually thought like I was a triathlon coach, like I was going to help them with their physical activity and their nutrition. And so I did some research and found out like, oh, hey, this triathlon coach training certification is coming to my city, it was kind of like all the universe aligned and everything. So I became a triathlon coach. And so I've been doing that for the last 3.5 years. It's been absolutely amazing. I've helped a ton of people like cross the finish line, especially like those first time folks. They're my favorite. And in between, helped a ton of people, I would say mostly with their health and wellness. But what I've kind of learned as a dietitian, again, throughout all of these experiences in my life. And again, I think one of the best attitudes that you can have, and one that I've just really tried to, take in and adopt, is that, life is happening for you, not to you. So every experience I've had, every time I've been triggered, every problem I've had, like I really try to think of how can I learn from this? How can I take this and learn something about myself? How can I use it to make myself successful and stronger? And so through all of that, and again, with other people, like trying to teach them, if you're feeling frustrated about losing weight, that's the problem. It's, how you feel, it's your mindset. And it's the same thing with triathlons, if you don't think you can cross the finish line, guess what? Do you think you're going to cross, you're going to cross the finish line? It's all on your mindset. You have to believe, and then you will receive, you'll see what's coming to you. And just really, really passionate about that. So about 1.5 years ago, I got my life coaching certification. I got a certification in the law of attraction. And then I also have a certification in mindfulness, and launched my life coaching business, which I admit has actually been a little bit harder. The other two have been a breeze. I've just had people naturally like come to me and want my help with triathlon and nutrition. But this life coaching thing, I've struggled a little bit with starting it up. But I think that again is something that's working for me, because I think I had a lot of mental blocks. Like I have these voices in my head saying like, you're not good enough for this, or why would people want to listen to you? Oh, there's a lot of life coaches out there, kind of some different, issues that I've had to deal with within myself to really be able to put myself out there to be a successful life coach. And so, fast forward to now, actually as COVID hit, so really decided in December area timeframe, I'm really launching this. I'm doing it. Again, I've kind of had one foot in, one foot out, and I'm blessed enough to still have my full-time job too. So that's kind of my safety net, I think. But I decided, okay, I'm doing this. Then I broke up with my boyfriend of 3 years. actually on March 8th, and COVID hit March 15th or whatever. So it was like, I broke up with him on Sunday, COVID hit the following Thursday. And I decided, you know what, like, I am going to really apply all the tools that I've learned. I know all of these tools. Again, I've read all these books. I'm super passionate about it. It's all I think about. Like, you know, it's all I really want to do with my life, yet I don't apply it to myself. Like, I don't really like, you know, actually like take the actions that, you know, I'm learning. And so I just decided I'm all in, like, I'm going to figure this out. And that has just led me to, oh my God, an amazing journey. At the beginning of April, I hired my own life coach, and I'll be honest, I had to max out a credit card to do it. And it was the scariest thing I've ever done. I would never do anything like that because you know, again, I've had kind of a fear of money, but that's part of my problem. And so it was the weirdest thing. Like, when I said yes, it was so scary, and I had like this feeling of fear, but I also had like this amazing feeling that I've never felt before. And it was like, I said yes to me. Like, I said yes to my growth. I said yes to moving myself forward and actually doing, you know, something for myself. And so that, you know, it started that week. And then the next week, I actually bought like this program from this other coach that I've been telling you about, that I just really like takes you back and helps you focus on like your limiting beliefs and kind of all that, and really learn like who you truly are inside, which again, I believe is self-love. You know, like, when you really know, you know, you can say your affirmations, you can try to think more positively, but until you kind of figure out like who you are inside, you know, you're going to kind of be stuck there. So I've been on this journey. And then, you know, that led me to actually saying yes to Tony Robbins' Unleash the Power Within, which was like this 4-day event that I just finished on Sunday. And I'm not kidding you, I learned like some of the most amazing tools to help people. I just feel like, and I'm on fire. Like, I can post anything online now. You know, I do all these Facebook lives. I just really like, I feel like I'm just really stepping in to who I truly am. And it is empowering. It feels amazing. I have people all the time telling me like, I can see a difference in your photos. You know, I'm so happy. I have like unstoppable energy, and I just would recommend this for anybody. So
that is awesome. And I mean, your energy comes across, and you said you're kind of coming into your own now. Now, do you think that you would be doing all this had you not gotten divorced?
No.
So why not?
I mean, if I look back, like, if I knew now what I knew then, which is one of the reasons, one of my biggest, strongest whys right now is I really want my kids to learn this at their age. They're 19, 17, and 15. And they all like kind of have a problem with self-esteem, self-confidence. You know, I just see like so many things that they want to do with their lives, but they're afraid, or, you know, they just don't really believe that they can do it. And so that's really like fueling me to just like get this figured out, to help people. I mean, my goal is to help, honestly, like 1 million people learn to truly love themselves, and you know, give them these tools so that they can actually like lead amazing kick-ass lives. Like, I want to help people that feel stuck, or feel like they're in a rut, or feel like there's just something more they should be doing with their lives. I really want to help them lead kick-ass lives, because I believe that's why we're here. We're supposed to be really, truly happy every single day. We're supposed to be chasing our dreams. We're supposed to be, you know, really kicking ass at life. Going back to my divorce, I think that definitely that fueled me. It got me started on that personal growth journey, and I'm so grateful for it, you know, because I don't think I would have ever like taken a look inside. I think I would have at the time, you know, I think I said this last time, but I tell a much different story now than I did back then. Like, when I think about my divorce now, I think, wow, like, if I could have really figured out like what was going on inside of me, it's not a feeling of blame, or like, he did all of these things wrong. It is a feeling of, wow, like I really needed to change some things. I was completely like, people pleasing, you know, again, I was making sure, I wanted to make sure that he was okay. I was not being really, truly honest with who I really am. And I didn't really fully trust him and allow him into my heart. And I think, you know, again, knowing now, I probably could go back and put myself in that situation, and maybe it would look differently. but I also don't think I would be where I'm at now had I not gotten divorced. So I definitely don't regret it. I freaking love my life now. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. And I wouldn't change my journey for a thing, because, you know, everything that I've been through has just really helped me grow stronger and just really truly love myself more. So
that's incredible. So if you could go back, what do you think is the one thing that helped you the most when you were going through your divorce and recovering? What would you say is the one thing that helped you more than anything?
You know, I would say it's probably like those Rory Ray tapes that helped me really truly figure out. I had to figure out my emotions. Like, I was so shut down. Like, I didn't know how to feel. Right. I mean, my skin was even like numb. Like, I remember there was this one time they were like, okay, you know, rub your hand on your arm and rub it sensually, you know? And I remember thinking like, oh my God, like, it's numb. My arm is numb, you know? And she said, you know, when you have completely shut your emotions off, when you've lived in your head for so long, you know, and you haven't lived in your heart, you actually, like, it happens physically in your body. Like, and so just kind of really needing to learn how to navigate getting out of my head and into my heart. I had shut my heart completely off. So I think that really helped me. I was going to make a point on that. But one thing I will say, and I think this is really important to hear, I think that I received a lot of advice from so many different people. And I think that I didn't appreciate that. Honestly didn't want it. I think that you shouldn't necessarily like listen to what other people are telling you. Like, I had, like, my sister told me, oh, there's no way you're going to get remarried for 7 years. You know, you have like this whole journey you have to go through, or, you know, kind of made me feel stupid for really wanting to like date people, you know, or, you know, I think that I felt like some of my friends were kind of like, you need to be alone right now and you need to figure yourself out and you need to. So my advice would be to just follow your heart, like figure out what you want to do. You're going to be messy. It's going to be messy. You're not going to make the right, you know, not everything you do is going to be right. You're probably going to make a lot of mistakes, but I would just say make them and do it and just like own it and love yourself for it. Because number one, it's probably one of the only opportunities you're going to get to do something crazy like that. So you might as well just enjoy it. But number two, it's just like, you gotta really, it's all about you and what you need. And so I would just embrace that. You know, everybody's going to give you advice, but you know, maybe just listen to your heart and figure out what it is that you need. And just know that it's going to look different, you know, especially that first year. Like, I mean, it's a roller coaster and I mean, honestly, it's going to look different, but just embrace it.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly that it's that first year, you have to redefine who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times you lose who you are. You're not the same person you were before you got married. Mm-hmm. You're not even the same person you were when you were married. And you need to figure out who this new person is.
Yeah.
You have to give yourself grace, and you have to give yourself the space to figure out who this new person is.
Well, and even you have to figure out who you are a year out from divorce and who you are 5 years out from divorce. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like it's going to change it's going to evolve and change. And you just have to really love yourself through it.
So if you could give women right now that are going through a divorce one piece of advice, you know, that you wish you had known, or you wish that, or you think they should know, what would it be?
I think it would be to focus on your personal growth. Like, you know, figure out how to open your heart. Divorce is in your head. You're making decisions based on fear. It's a very, very scary time. And I think the more that you can really, you know, think of love, and really, you know, focus on what you really need, get the help, you know, if there is maybe still like a little chance in your head that you don't want to get a divorce. I would think about that too, because a lot of times when you get divorced, again, if you're kind of in that same energy, you're going to wind up with another person. And basically it's going to be like the same exact thing that you have in your marriage. You have to really do like the self-healing and get yourself into a different place in order to really heal from it and move on. And so that, you know, that's what I say, give yourself grace, you know, realize, okay, I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to love myself through it and just find a way to learn from the whole process. So.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
And your website is High Octane Wellness.
Yeah. So if I could just mention a couple things, you can find me on Facebook. Actually, I do have a website. It's highoctanewellness.com. And then if you want to follow me on Facebook, it's Caryn Kasleka. It's just my name. And I also have a High Octane Wellness Facebook page as well. And then I have a private Facebook group called Learning to Lead and Love Your Life with Caryn Kasleka. And that's probably like the best thing that you could follow for me. Then I'm also on Instagram as Caryn High Octane, and my name is spelled Caryn. And I also have like a high_octane wellness on Instagram as well. So would love to have you guys follow me. And I offer all sorts of free resources, again, in terms of life coaching, success coaching, goal setting. I'm really into, again, I kind of have the physical part of things. So giving you tools that you can actually like use in your body to help you with your limiting beliefs and help you be more successful in any area of your life. That could be relationships, that could be finances, that could be health and wellness, it could be organization. Kind of, if you feel stuck in any area of your life, I can help you unstuck yourself and learn to lead a kick-ass life. So.
Well, thank you, Caryn, for being on today. And I'm sure that someone out there heard what you had to say and could resonate with, you know, some of the things you were feeling or what you experienced. And hopefully it gives them a little bit of hope and inspiration that they can move forward themselves.
Thank you. That's what I tell myself all the time. Even if I just am helping one person, this is completely worth it for me. So
thank you for listening to another episode of the Recovering Cinderella podcast. You can find more information and resources at recoveringcinderella.com to help you support your way or get support through your divorce. You can join one of my private support groups where you can connect with other women who are going through a divorce in a facilitated format where you can support each other and learn how to grow forward after your divorce. Additionally, you can sign up for one-on-one divorce coaching and divorce recovery coaching at recoveringcinderella.com. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Recovering Cinderella. And if you have your own Recovering Cinderella story that you would like to share, you can apply to be on the Recovering Cinderella podcast at recoveringcinderella.com. Have a great week, beautiful. And remember, your story didn't end with your divorce. You are still writing it, and the next chapter is going to be even better than the last. We'll see you next week.